find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise. All of the children rise. Elders of wisdom rise. Ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise. Up from the wreckage, rise. With tears and with courage, rise. Fighting for life, we rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here.
Heidi-ho, neighbor. How is everybody this morning? Good. It's great to be here on a beautiful day. My name is Tanya Romine, and I am a member of this congregation and your worship associate today. And there's nothing better than standing up here and seeing everyone that I've known for the years that I have been here and how much love I feel when I get here. On behalf of the Reverend Dave Dunn, Interim Minister Liz Martin, right over here on my left, Director of Religious Exploration Lexi T. Brown, our Music Director Alex Peach, the UUMAN Chalice Choir, and the greeters, and our beautiful technical team. This is what helps make our live stream possible today. I would like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North, which we lovingly refer to as UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community with the mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, every one of you are welcome here today. Welcome to all that are joining us remotely. We're happy that you are there. For any visitors who are here with us for the first time, and if you are comfortable in doing so, we would love for you to stand up and tell us your name and where you are from so that we can get to know you better. Visitors on my left. Welcome. Welcome.
That's my son, Kathleen.
Great to have you. Any more visitors on my left? Hi. That's a great place to be from. Anyone else on my left? No? How about oh, there you are. Okay, so you came a little bit further than around the corner. Glad to have you. Anyone on my right? Anybody sneaking? No? Okay. Well, it's great to have you with us this morning. We are so happy to have our Chalice Choir back with us. Please consult your printed order of worship to see our second hour adult enrichment offerings for today. Sorry about this, my papers are stuck. So now let us greet one another with a hand or elbow of friendship.
Someone needs to tell me how I'm supposed to greet you with the hand of friendship while I'm doing the hokey pokey. Did love that, though. All right, our call to worship was written by the Reverend David Breeden. We unite in our differences in background and belief. We unite with gratitude and hope. Hope for a world of differences. Hope for a world that honors difference. We unite in community with gratitude for difference. And now let us worship together.
Our chalice lighting today is whether you are from the south, the east, the north, or the west, whether you were born into this faith, found it, or it found you, whether you feel at home or are still trying to find your place, whether you believe in God, are open to mystery, or have no idea, whether you are unemployed, underemployed, cobbling things together, overworking, or in school, whether you are holding anxiety, grief, confusion, anger, hope, restlessness, or deep peace. Unitarian Universalism has a place for you. It is right here, and this chalice is lit for you. Let us worship together. And now, as you are able, would you please stand and sing our opening hymn, number 159, in the hardback hymnal. This is my song. Now is the time in our service where children, young and old, are invited to the front for our Time for All Ages. After the story, children are invited to exit into Fellowship Hall for Children's Chapel for the remainder of the service. If this is your child's first time attending Children's Chapel, please walk them to Fellowship Hall. After service, please escort your children to their appropriate RE classroom in Discovery Cottage during second hour.
There we are. Okay. So, it's wonderful to read news stories. First of all, my name is Martina Austin, and I'm a member of this congregation. It's wonderful to read news stories, but it's also wonderful to read favorite stories. So today I brought in this book. Do you know this story? Yeah. Yep. If you give a mouse a cookie, there are consequences. Yeah. Okay. So you know how this goes. Here's the little mouse. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, he'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. Then he'll want to look in a mirror to make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. When he looks in the mirror, he might notice his hair needs a trim, so he'll probably ask you for a pair of scissors. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. He might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. He may even end up washing the floors as well, with any luck. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap, because that's pretty tiring. You'll have to fix up a little box for him with a blanket and a pillow. He'll crawl in, make himself comfortable, and fluffs the pillow a few times. He'll probably ask you to read him a story. So you read to him from one of your books, and he'll ask if he can look at the pictures too. When he looks at the pictures, he'll get so excited he'll want to draw a picture of his own, and he'll ask for paper and crayons. He'll draw a picture, crayons as big as he is. Oops. When the picture is finished, see, he drew a picture of his family. When the picture is finished, he'll want to sign his name with a pen, so he'll need a pen. Then he'll want to hang his picture on your refrigerator, which means he'll need some Scotch tape. He'll hang up his drawing and stand back to look at it. And looking at the refrigerator will remind him that he's thirsty. So he'll ask for a glass of milk. And chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, he's going to want to have a cookie to go with it. There you go.
In our service, we share our joys with each other to magnify them and our sorrows to divide the weight of the pain. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward and state your name and drop a pebble in the bowl and express a joy or a sorrow that you may have. For those of you attending via our live stream, if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to share this morning, please type it in the chat.
good things. One, after several months of trying, I finally got our mobile classroom moved in on site for my nonprofit that I run from home. So hopefully we'll be able to make some progress there and have new exciting opportunities for the kids and adults I work with. The other one is I'm finally getting my right knee replaced on October 20th. I already had the left one done, so I know what to expect, but finally some relief.
I'm Don Gross. Some time ago, I had relayed to this congregation that our daughter, Robin Stigall, had been named Dietitian of the Year for the state of Georgia, serving some 8,000 registered dietitians. This came out of her work at the State House, helping to craft legislation around licensure for dietitians and nutritionists. This week, she was notified by the American Academy of Dietetics and Nutritionists that she had been nominated to serve in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services as advisor on those issues in that department. I noted that the letter had gone up to Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., and on that score, I will bite my tongue because we don't do politics up here. I did kid her a little bit. I said, if you become nutrition advisor to the White House, will we hear words like, why, yes, Mr. President, 5 Big Macs a day is good nutrition. Nevertheless, she's neutral toward it, and we'll wait further developments, and needless to say, we're very proud of it.
So 70 years ago, my 50-year-old father and my 40-year-old mother found themselves pregnant with twins. And I was 12 years old at the time. So the twins, Don and Deb, are actually visiting me, and I had hoped that they would be able to come to church this morning and hear our wonderful choir and meet many of you. So my sister woke up with, she has rheumatoid arthritis and very severe pain. So obviously they're not here this morning. So this is a joy that they're in Atlanta, and it's a concern for my sister. She's never had that experience before, hoping that she'll get better. And if they're still here, I hope you'll get to meet them next Sunday.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Wilson. I'm a member here and also a member of the dedicated live stream team. So we have 2 joys. I'm going to get the stones now. One joy from Dave Pregel, who says, my niece is being discharged from spinal rehab and will start physical therapy at that time. And another from Steve Allerton, a joy that the tide rolled last night.
I myself have a joy and a sorrow. This week was a very tender week. It marked the 2nd anniversary of my husband's death, who was a member here and who was loved by so many, especially me. So that's my sorrow. But my joy is it has been 2 years, and I feel like I'm me again. I have settled into a new norm, and I know that everybody has been concerned about me for a while, but I just want to let everybody know that I'm at peace. I do get sad, but I am very good. And I'm going to drop one final pebble for those joys or sorrows that are too tender to escape the folds of our hearts. If everyone would keep each other in your thoughts and prayers as this week carries on. We bow our heads in order to imagine not one path, but many. We imagine a path forward for those who cannot imagine any path forward because of poor health, financial hardship, family crisis, and other roadblocks we cannot begin to understand or imagine. We struggle to imagine a path forward for those who are forced to leave a homeland against their will, and for those unable to leave a war-torn homeland despite their lives and living in danger. We imagine a path forward for those who leave their homes to make a better life for their families elsewhere. May we be a welcoming presence along that path of hope. We come together to imagine a path forward for those of us despairing because we do not seem to know our country nor our neighbors, despite the fact that we have not moved at all. May we be the good we are hoping to find as we travel side by side down the path toward hope. We imagine a path forward for those who feel lonely. May we take one another's hands as we walk that path toward community. Truly we know as we imagine these ways forward and take one another's hands, the paths will lead to hope. The roads will lead to a beloved community, and the arc will bend toward justice because we have dared to travel with love in our hearts.
This song calls us to learn to lead in love during these times in great turning. It inspires us to appreciate the good company we keep and to go deep into the well, our source of creativity, connection, and ability to thrive now.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the company who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time
will gladly cede my time for this message to continue listening to the choir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was beautiful. I also quickly wanted to note that as an intern here, I am being supervised by Reverend Dave, and I was very nervous about this message today because I believed it was going to be the first time he was in the audience while I was preaching. Well, guess what? There was a nursery emergency, and he's over in the nursery because we needed another adult. So, we can just have a grand old time in here without him. While the cat's away, something like that. Anyway, as today's sermon title suggests, I'm here to talk about the potential and the perils of the value of pluralism. But what exactly do we mean by the word pluralism? Last year, in 2024, the UUA adopted a set of values, and the value of pluralism is among them. It says, we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Now, this is one of the reasons that I love the new Article 2 definitions of our values. It takes two things that we had before in our 7 principles, the third and the fourth, which were acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, and number 4, a responsible search for truth and meaning. And it scaffolds them with community, because we're covenanting to learn from each other, from each other's searches for truth and meaning, and that we're going to embrace each other's differences and commonalities. So this is obviously fundamental in our UU spaces, within Unitarian Universalism in general, that without a creed that we are required to subscribe to, a diversity of beliefs exist in our congregations, and we have to work with that. But I'm not sure, in my experience, that I would say we go so far as to embrace our differences, which of course points to the truth that our principles and our values are aspirational, something that we are working towards. But our values, as we've stated them, aren't just about what happens here in this space, within our congregation, but how we take our values and live them out in the world. So this is where my day job comes in. I get to take this value of pluralism and test myself with it pretty much every day. And since we seem to have enough time, I'm going to take a little story tangent. How did I get here in my job in Atlanta, working in interfaith chaplaincy? It's kind of like how I got here in general. I fell into this by accident. My previous career, I guess you'd say, as a religious educator in the UU churches in Salt Lake City, started as a 3-month temporary job while the director of religious education was having back surgery. And that turned into 11 years as a religious professional across 2 congregations. And then I finally heeded the call to go to seminary, which is what brought me to Atlanta. And I did not go to seminary intending to work in interfaith chaplaincy. But during my first year, when I had to choose a contextual education site, so basically like field education, I applied to work at Emory University in the Office of Spiritual and Religious Life, really for 2 reasons. One, it was on campus, and I didn't have a car. And 2, I thought interfaith work was fun. When I was a director of religious exploration in Salt Lake City, one of my favorite things to lead was Neighboring Faiths, which was a curriculum where we took middle schoolers, or sometimes high schoolers, and taught them each Sunday about the basics of world religions, and then once a month visited a different place of worship. I also got myself a little bit involved in the Salt Lake Interfaith Roundtable, which was an interfaith group that started around the Olympics in 2002 in Salt Lake City in order to support the diverse needs of the athletes when they came to our city. And all of it was fun. That's the word I would describe my relationship with interfaith work in Salt Lake. It was fun. I am a naturally curious person. If I am a little bit meaner to myself, I say I'm awfully nosy. And I love learning about other people's lives and what makes them tick. But now, 6 years and 1,800 miles away from that world, the first word that I would describe my relationship with interfaith work probably wouldn't be fun, which is not to say it isn't fun sometimes, but that is not the first word that comes to mind now. Now we'll get back to where we were before I told you that little story. I'm now in my 3rd year as a full-time employee after 3 years in various internship capacities in the University Chaplaincy Department of Emory University, known as the Office of Spiritual and Religious Life. And many of you might be familiar with chaplaincies, particularly healthcare chaplaincy. Hospital chaplains are the most common form of chaplains. And I think it's important to point out right here that I'm in the university setting, not in a hospital. So university healthcare and Emory Healthcare and Emory University are 2 very separate entities in this regard, at least. So we provide services to faculty, staff, and students, mostly undergraduates. And some of our work, kind of like hospital chaplains, deals with trauma and even death. We have often supported folks dealing with loss and we conduct memorial services for different communities on campus when students or staff or faculty pass away. But the bulk of our work is supporting students in their spiritual life and helping them to become spiritually resilient, helping them find what they need to nourish their souls, and helping them find their people, their communities on campus and off, where they can connect with something bigger than themselves. In order to do this, we have 5 chaplains who oversee and organize regular programming for the students. And they oversee mostly the groups that fall under their religious tradition. So we have 5 full-time chaplains. We have a Christian minister, Reverend Maddie. We have Rabbi Jordan, our Jewish chaplain. We have Venerable Priya, our Buddhist monk. We have Pandit Rajiv, our Hindu monastic. And we have a Muslim ustad, which I had to learn when he was hired. An ustad is a scholar, an Islamic scholar. It's a little bit different than an imam, because it is a higher level of education required. Allow me to assure you that a simple task like scheduling a staff lunch is an interfaith adventure in itself. We've got halal, kosher, vegetarian, vegan, and don't forget to take into account the many fast days and holidays of their various traditions. In all, there are staff of 10 people. There are 5 of us who are not chaplains, and then that includes me, who's a program coordinator and supporting all of the programming, a music director who has a Pentecostal and Baptist background, and my boss, who's also a Unitarian Universalist with a Catholic background. And of course, I bring my Mormon background. So among us, among these 10 people, we're already kind of a microcosm of what it means to engage in religious pluralism. We certainly represent a wide variety of perspectives on the world and a diversity of life experiences. And sometimes it takes a fair amount of effort to understand each other and work together. And it takes exponentially more effort to get the students that we work with to try to understand each other and work together. And yeah, it's not easy to get on the same page with people who hold different perspectives. In our UU spaces, like here, we have our shared values and our 7 principles with their stated aspirations that we can at least sort of agree that we have a same page to look at, that we all want to be on that page. And in my office, we do all hold the same goal of living into religious pluralism and understanding each other as a core part of our work. The definition and the approach that we take to interfaith work is one developed by the Pluralism Project with Diana Eck at Harvard. Their program says that pluralism is an ethic for living together in a diverse society, not mere tolerance or relativism, but the real encounter of commitments. And I just think that that's beautiful. They go on to explain that pluralism is not diversity, because diversity is just a fact. Their definition of pluralism goes a little beyond that it's more than tolerance. Tolerance is a virtue, but it doesn't require anyone to learn anything about one another. It just means I won't bother you. But the most important part here for me is that their definition of pluralism is not relativism, it's the encounter of commitments. It does not require us to leave our identities and our commitments behind, because it's meant to be the encounter of what we most deeply hold on to. And last but not least, they outlined that what is necessary to achieve religious pluralism is dialogue, that it takes encounter, give and take, criticism and self-criticism, both speaking and listening. And through that, we discover our common understandings, but we also don't avoid our real differences. Dialogue doesn't mean that everyone at the table will agree with one another. It really just means that we are all committed to coming to the table, to coming back again and again. Now, when I think back on my time working with neighboring faiths before I started in this environment, when I look back, I'm not sure that was really interfaith work, at least not in this framework, because we didn't dialogue and we did not make long-term relationships. I'm thinking we were planting the seeds for perhaps later real pluralism, but we weren't really quite there yet, at least the way we were doing it. So, back to my office. Along with the Dean of Religious Life, the UU minister I mentioned earlier, I've been working with interfaith at Emory since the fall of 2020. Anybody remember the fall of 2020? Yeah, it was interesting. I spent that school year meeting every Monday evening on Zoom with the students who were on the Interreligious Council, which was a group of about 20 students representing the various faith groups on campus. We engaged in small and sometimes large discussions about how our communities engage with things like ritual, holidays, food. Food is always a good subject with undergraduates, except maybe during Ramadan, but that's another story. We certainly found much we had in common that year. And then the next summer, I received a fellowship to work on a larger interfaith intensive program that debuted in August of 2021. We were able to return to campus, masks required indoors, of course, with 40 students for a week before classes started. The program was called WISE, Welcoming Interfaith and Spiritual Exploration. So think of it as doing something like Neighboring Faiths plus dialogue and learning in 5 days. We planned visits to 8 different religious communities and prepared for learning about interfaith engagement, social identity, intersections between religion and social justice, and, of course, small group dialogue about every component. As you can imagine, I was very, very excited. This was definitely something that I had a natural interest in. Also, not gonna lie, I was afraid we might be creating a COVID super spreader event and taking it to 8 different religious communities. Luckily, nothing like that happened. At any rate, from my perspective, a ton of effort and thought had been put into making this program as religiously inclusive as possible. We arranged our schedules so that our Muslim students could take breaks for their prayers. We ordered kosher meals approved by the Atlanta Kashrut Council, and we made sure that Sabbaths would be respected. Now, as we prepared for the first years to come, we were conducting training with the peer mentors, who were upper class students that were being trained to lead the dialogue groups. And we had 2 peer mentors who identified as Orthodox Jews. When we were talking about our upcoming visit to the Hindu temple, one of these students raised her hand and said that they could not enter the space when we went because of the presence of idols. Oh, that also goes for the Buddhist temple and the Sikh Gurdwara. And they said they wouldn't go into the Christian church if there was any crucifixion imagery. Oh, and our Jewish visit to the Jewish Hillel Center on campus, they wouldn't be able to eat Shabbat dinner with us there because their kitchen was not currently certified as kosher by the Atlanta Kashrut Council. The only visit of the 8 that this student had no qualms about was our visit to the mosque. A little bit ironic to my mind, but we weren't going to eat there, and there would be no imagery offensive to them there. Now, the other Orthodox Jewish student had the same kosher food requirements, but was willing to enter the various religious spaces, but not participate in anything that could be seen as worship, bowing, kneeling, etc. It turns out both of these students had consulted their rabbis, and these were the approaches that were recommended for them. I think this is the first time I really took to heart the idea that all work around faith can be seen as interfaith, because no 2 people believe in exactly the same way. In other words, I had a quick lesson in, if you know one Jewish Orthodox perspective, you know exactly one Jewish Orthodox perspective. That is all. It also challenged me in that I wasn't sure we were all aiming for the same page. My goals for interfaith engagement felt thwarted if a participant was unwilling to even have the same experiences as their peers. To be honest, I was frustrated. I was really frustrated. And I wondered, why did this student sign up for this program at all? Now, I've thought about this situation a lot since 2021. Like I said, at that point, I was really rather irritated, thinking that, my perfectly planned program wasn't going the way I wanted it to. But now, after having spent some time aspiring to the authentic encounter of commitments, like the Pluralism Project talks about, I realized that this was actually a magnificent learning moment for everyone in that program. And altogether, honestly, a pretty mild lesson in the realities of interfaith work in that encounter of commitments. Because that means holding our deepest differences, our religious differences, not in isolation, but in relationship to one another. As you can imagine, the work across religious difference on college campuses in the last 2 years, since October 7th, has been hugely challenging, not to mention just the last few weeks in our world in general. The commitments, the very truths, if you will, that students are bringing to the table are often in direct conflict with the commitments and the truths of others. Sadly, many are unwilling to genuinely listen to another's point of view. It seems to be harder and harder to entice those who feel the strongest to come to the table. So what do we do about this? Well, I like to talk about the platinum rule. Has anyone heard about the platinum rule? Yeah, the platinum rule. It's an upgrade from the golden rule. The golden rule says, treat others the way you would like to be treated, right? The platinum rule is, treat others the way they want to be treated. Fine, but what do you need in order to find out how someone else wants to be treated? You have to have communication, right? And in order to have communication, you have to have what Brian Stevenson calls proximity. You need to get close. You need to get close, because without that, you wouldn't be able to hear the answer anyway. Another sermon entirely talking about Brian Stevenson and his 4 rules for changing the world, but that, like I said, that'll have to be another sermon. But one of those 4 rules, besides getting proximate, is to learn to be uncomfortable. I think that's the word I would just use now instead of fun to describe interfaith work. Uncomfortable. If I'm doing it right, that is. How else can we feel when we get close, when we get proximate, to dialogue with people whose truth, whose idea of justice is in conflict with our own? Of course, I don't have any real solutions here. I can tell you from experience that it will get very, very uncomfortable to listen with an open heart, to sit, to even, because ultimately, peace is not the absence of conflict, but the healthy and compassionate response to it. Pluralism calls us to do whatever we can to keep coming back to the table, again and again and again. And as for those people that we may never be on the same page with, all you can do is keep trying to get them to come to the table too. Maybe you make that table movable. Maybe you take it to them. Maybe you fill it with good food. That's a great way to get people involved. And maybe, just maybe, well, it's hard to say if you'll ever be on the same page, but you will be close enough to see them as a fellow human when you look them in their eyes, which is the first step to building a better world. And maybe, just maybe we'll at least, if not on the same page, be looking at the same book. Amen. Amen. Blessed be.
Thank you, Liz. In an effort to fulfill and further the vision and mission of this congregation, we ask that our members and friends share of their time, talent, and treasure. With this, we now take the offering. You may also use the Give Now option in the Breeze app. This month's 50/50 recipient is the Xerces Society. Any checks specifically designated as 50/50 or any Breeze donation specifying Give to 50/50 this month will go to support their work.
Accept these offerings, these generous offerings from all of you in order to fulfill our mission and vision. May we use it wisely.
Everyone, if you will please rise as you are willing and able, and joining us in singing hymn number 121 in the hardback hymnal. Alex will play through once, then we'll all sing together. We will now extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect differences with dignity, and to challenge those who would forbid it. We are people of a wide path. Let us be wide in affection and go our way in peace. Have a great week.
Where's the moolah?
Huh?
I'm here to get the moolah.
It's right down there.
Oh, I see.
I guess you are, aren't you?